So in the last video we discussed about basics of estimation, and the key points from that discussion are that number one, we do not have any fixed rule to find estimation. Number two, we can have more than one estimation possible for any given multiplication, addition or subtraction. Number three, of all those possible estimations, you have to choose the best reasonable estimation. And in order to find the best reasonable estimation, you'll have to round off the numbers that are involved in any multiplication, addition or subtraction in the best possible way. Now, what do we mean by that? Let's take an example, and in this particular video discussion or video lecture, we'll focus only on estimation of multiplication or estimation of product. So the first example is 578 times 161. Now, let's take the first possible way, the first way, that is the general rule of estimation. Now, the general rule of estimation, if you apply the general rule of estimation here, so 578 will become 600 and 161 will become 200, right? By applying general rule of estimation. And those who haven't watched the videos on general rule of estimation, so I'll request you to go to the playlist and first watch videos on rounding of numbers to the tens, rounding of number to the hundreds and to the nearest hundred, and rounding of numbers to the nearest thousand, and then on the previous video, that is a basic one on estimation. Please watch those videos and then come on this particular video discussion. So the general rule of estimation will make 578 600 and 161 200. Now if you'll multiply 600 by 200, you'll get what you'll get. You have 4 zeros, so 1 2 3 and 4. 6 times 12 is 6 times 2 is 12, so you'll put here comma, you will put here comma, right? So this is 1,20,000, okay, by applying general rule of estimation. Let's take another possible way, that is for this the same question, that is 578 times 161. What if I round off 578 to its nearest 10? So if I round it off to its nearest 10, this will become 580, right? And if I round it off to its nearest 10, to 161, it will be 160, right? Now you will say that okay, we have 2 zeros, so if we'll multiply it, you'll get 2 0 here, but then you're left with 58 and then 60. So to multiply 58 times 16, you cannot find a estimation so quickly, because it's not possible to calculate it in your mind. And the only reason we do estimation is to find our calculation quickly, or to estimate value quickly. So 58 times 16, it's not that easy, so we'll avoid this one. Okay, let's move to some other possible way. So again, we have 578 times 161, and this time, what if I round off 578 to its nearest 100, to its nearest 100, to its nearest 100. So if I round off 578 to its nearest 100, it will become 600, right? And if I round it off 161 to its nearest tens, to its nearest 10, so it will become 160, right? Now 600 times 160, you have 2 0 here, you have 1 0 here, So 1, 2 and 3 zeros. Now you're left with 6 times 16. It's very easy, right? If you multiply 6 by 16, you'll get 96. You'll get 96, right? So in this case, you'll get 96,000. The estimation will come 96,000. Let's see one more possible way. So again, you have 578 times 161. Now again, why we are trying the all possible ways? Just to show you that which will be the best possible estimation, that which will be the best reasonable estimation. To show you that, I'm going through all the possible ways. So in this case, if I round off 578 to its nearest 10, right, to its nearest 10, so in this case it will be 580. And if we round off 161 to its nearest 100, this will become 200. Okay, now if you multiply it to find the estimation, you have 3 zeros, so 1, 2 and 3 zeros. Now you are left with 58 times 2, and that's easy, right? You can multiply 58 times 2 and it will be, so if you multiply it, so this will come 6 and 2 times 5, 10, 1, 11, right? You can calculate it here. That's 58 times 2, right? So you can calculate this thing in your mind also. So this will be 116,000. So if you put comma here, you have, it's 1,16,000. Now the original calculation of this particular multiplication, that is 578 times 161, the real calculation will be 93,058. I just want to show you that how you calculate the most reasonable estimation. Now this one has been calculated by a calculator, which you don't know, but to prove my point that there are more than one possible way to find the estimation and you choose the best reasonable one, we'll say it here. So 578 times 161 is 93,058. Now check the first one. When you apply the general rule of estimation, it is 1,20,000, right? 1,20,000. Now come on the next one. You have, we saw it here that it was not a good idea to follow this path because 58 times 16, this will be tough one for you to calculate in your mind, so we'll leave it. Now come to the next one. In this case you have 96,000, right? 96,000. So you can clearly see that here it's quite close to 93,058. This particular estimation is quite close to 93,058 in comparison to this one, right? If you compare this one, it was 1,20,000. In this case you have 96,000, right? So it's much closer to 93,058. Now come to the next one. Here you have 1,16,000, right? You have 1,16,000. It's again not very close to 93,058 in comparison to this one. Here you have 96,000 and here you have 1,16,000, right? So of all those possible ways which we followed, so of all those possible ways that we saw, that we followed, so either this one that gave us 1,20,000 and this one that was not possible, it wasn't a good idea, this one which gave us 96,000, and this one that is 1,16,000. Of all these possible one, this one is the best one. This one is the best one, right? This one is the best one, the most reasonable estimation, the most reasonable estimation, most reasonable. Why it's most reasonable? Because the estimated value is very close to the original. Now I would say that, hey, when I don't know the original value, when I don't know the original calculation, how would I know that my estimated value is the best one? So that's why if you compare this one, like here it was 578, okay, and this was 161. When I make the adjustment in this number, like applying some rounding off, you'll see that it came to 600. Now the difference between 600 and 578 is 22, right? It's 22. The difference between these two, it's 22. And we made 161 to 160, and the difference is of one number, right? So 161 and 160 is 1. Okay, come to this one. Here you have 578 to 80, the difference is of 2, and here 161 to 200, the difference is of 39, right? They compare these two. Here it was 578, when it became 600 it was 22, and this was only 1, right? And in compared to this one, you have 578 to 580 was 2, but this one, the difference was 39, right? So it's much greater in comparison to what we made here, right? And the same one in this case, like when we made 578, so it was, the difference was 22, and in this case 39, right? So we made two adjustments. We rounded off 578 and 161 both. So try to make the least possible, change in the original number. That if you round off the numbers, take the most best one. That you have to change the values very minimal, in a minimal way possible. Like here, you only had to make adjustment of 22 and 1. So when you round off the numbers, round off them in a way that the original value and the one which you have rounded off is not, there's not a too much difference in between them. Like here it was only 22, and here this was only 1, right? I hope you're getting my point.